Hi and welcome guys to another video of Code with Toyo. Today we are going to be looking at something very interesting. A few people have been asking me SQL, especially the guys in data science, data analytics, and all of these guys, wondering why you need to learn SQL. So before we start, I just want to give you an introduction of what SQL is quickly. SQL, like the word stands, is structured query language. This is a relational database and management system. And we have different engines or different companies that offer engines for SQL. Microsoft have Microsoft SQL, they have Access DB. Oracle have their own Oracle DB, MariaDB, Postgres, MySQL, and all of this. One of the most used one when it comes to application development, especially for guys that work with PHP and all of those, is MySQL. So it's likely that you're going to see more of MySQL when you are doing your data science work. And why do we need it, or what do we need it for? Look at a scenario whereby you don't have access to data. Data was not sent to either in CSV or JSON, but you're given a connection string. Connect into the database and do query the database, get your data back, and do your analysis with it. So, point of notice in this video is that SQL does not do the normal visualizations you see, like charts and all of these guys. No, SQL is a storage system for data where you store your data and you retrieve your data when needed. So if you must do analysis work or you must do something as an analyst, you just write queries to answer your KPI questions, get your return data, and you can use any of these tools, either Python as a programming language, Tableau, Power BI, and Excel, and all of these guys to just continue with your visualization. So please, you should understand that SQL is just a storage. We have data being stored as relations. Relations are just tables in SQL. Relations are tables. Relations, like we know, are tables. And tables consist of two main things that everybody knows: row and column. So basically, that's what it is. As soon as you're able to form a role and column out of data, you establish a relationship with data. And basically, SQL does three main things when it comes to operations. It's called CRUD. You might have heard it at times: create, read, update, and delete. That's what the database does most of the time. Either you are creating record, you are reading, you're updating, or you are deleting. So as a data analyst, you don't have any business with these two unless you want to cause some sort of trouble, but you can always read. In fact, you don't have issues with creating, because two main interaction with SQL is that you are doing a DDL, a data definition language, or you are doing a DML, a data manipulation language. This is where you can answer your analysis questions based on queries and everything. So today we are just going to do something brief: create a database, create a table, then insert into a table and maybe query it. Over time, we are going to start a new SQL series for those that are asking, so we can understand SQL in full. So if you want to create a database, see SQL as it's just like English. Most of the actions are verbs, like action words, especially when it comes to relationship. For example, relationship between a father and his children is a one-to-many relationship. The father has a DNA, which is his primary key, and he passes the DNA down to the children, and they all have primary keys in them as a foreign key. So all of these things are quite easy. You just need to pay attention to it. So let's create our first table. Like it stands, we need to do a create. Then what do we want to create? A table. Let's call it, before we create a table, we create a database, then a table. Yes, it's just in that order. Create database, then let's call it SQL um, track, for example, SQL series, whatever it is, it ends with a semicolon. And yes, I'm using SQL Workbench. You have different providers. You can use XAMPP, WAMP, LAMP. You can use your SQL console. You can do it in Python, but I'm using my SQL Workbench to do this. So if I run this, you can see it says create database, one row affected. If I should refresh my database space, I should see this guy we just created. Can you see PQRS? SQL track. This is it. So let's use the database. I can just say use, either I select it from there, or I will use SQL underscore track. So I want to use the database. You have to use a database to be able to create a table. So always remember database first, tables next, and you can see it selected it for me and it turns to a bold text there. So quickly, I'm moving so fast in this video. If I want to create a table in this database, is as easy as saying create table. Then our table name, let's say first table. Um, in creating table, I always believe in having a foundation for everything. So this will create a table for you. So inside of this, in creating a table, we need to create the fields that we want to see in the table, the fields and their constraints and their data types. So let's say we need an ID. It should be an integer of not more than maybe 50, something like this. ID integer 50, and we want it to be our primary key. We'll talk about keys in some of these videos so that you know what it is. I want it to auto increment. So we want an ID of integer 50 primary key. Quickly, let me just create a name, and we want our name to be let me call it full name. I want the full name to be a variable character of we have long names. Let me just say 100. Nigeria we have very long names, middle first, middle and last name, and these a constraint. If I say not null, that means when I'm passing in a record, when I'm creating a new record, I must enter this particular value. This two is just enough for the sake of this video. If I should run this now, and then I go back and quickly query the table, I want to see select all. All means with a star from SQL underscore track, and I run this particular query, I should see okay, I just need to refresh this so the last operation comes up. Yeah, so quick insert before we select. I just want to do an insert into the table name is SQL underscore track. I want to insert into just the full name. I guess since the ID I made it an auto increment, so it will automatically increment on its own. And what values do you want to insert into it? You want to insert, let me just insert my full name. Let me say my name is Elijah Thomas, for example. But that's not my name anyway. But let's just say that's my name. And I end this with a semicolon. So this will add a new name, Elijah Thomas, to a position 1 from me. So that way, if I'm doing a select, so we had a little bit of an error here, and we are inserting into the name of the table is first, the database is SQL underscore track. So I hope we don't have this type mismatch there at the end of the day, because first sounds like a reserved word. Okay, so this went through. So select all from first, and if I should run this, um create database, no, this is what we want to run. Boom, boom, boom. You can see it returned the data ID, and the full name is Elijah Thomas. So quickly, I just want to reiterate what we have done in this particular video. We're able to understand what SQL is, structured query language, is based on relationship keys and primary key, foreign keys. We can create database. We need to create database, use it before we create a table, insert into the table, and we use select to fetch this thing. So this is just an introductory video. I will have a full video series talking about SQL, focusing on my SQL from beginning to end. So see you guys in other videos. Bye for now.